Hi everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this Caddie webinar. I'm Gerard Mostert, and again with me this afternoon is Victor Peer, who will be handling the session. This will be a more informal webinar. It will last about 20 to 30 minutes, during which we shall handle the questions from the survey and site plan webinar. During the webinar, you can ask questions via the chat window, and we'll do our best to accommodate as many questions as time permit. If you miss something, we'll be in contact and to help you through it. I'll hand you over to Vic now. Victor.
Good afternoon, Gerard, and good afternoon to everyone online. Welcome back. I received some questions regarding the feedback and emails that were sent out or that were sent out to you guys. Thank you so much for replying on those emails. And if there's time permits us, we're going to handle some live questions that you're going to type in via your chat window. You can see my screen. You can see the Word document, Gerard?
Yes, I can do. I can see all the questions there.
Thank you. So let's start with the first one. Where do we get the data file, or how do you create it with Earth diagram coordinates? And there's the diagram. Right, and there is the PDF file. The question was, how did we get to the data? Screen there, you can see that the right-hand side, Gerard. Can you see those?
Yes, the AB and the coordinates, degrees, minutes, seconds, and distances.
Okay, so that is the one. And the other one that we used, you should see both now there, Gerard.
Yes, I can see you toggle between them. Yep, there we go.
All right. So let's take the first one. If I take the PDF file that we've got here, there are these coordinates. So let's look at the first one, AB, and there is the angle in 145 degrees, 39 minutes and 60 seconds, and they are referencing here on the left-hand side. The vertical side of that Earth there, that stand.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Between A and B.
That's it. So basically what I've done is, it's really simple. I did AB. If you can see me typing now in this notepad window, and I just retyped it. I know this sounds very foolish and stupid, but there were people that didn't understand where this came from. Used the tab key and I typed in 29.44 and I retyped, and I just carried on and typed all those coordinates in there and saved it as a TXT file. And the question was quite interesting. The client referred to the data file. Okay. I'll just bring that question back on. It says the data file. And by the way, I just copy and paste this as I received it. The data file. Now the data file is quite, it's not a transmission in the sense that, don't get confused with the word data file. You can import a data file can be a text file or a TXT file that you can open with Notepad. It can be a DIT extension, which is the same as a text file, just with a DIT extension. That's basically what it is. So it's a normal ASCII file that you can just point and you can open it with an editor and modify that. I use another editor called Notepad++, and here you can do some macros and you can do some fancy work manipulating the data there. But you don't have to use that. I just use the normal Windows Notepad and I typed it in. Referring back onto the bigger data file or the DAT file, I think, possibly Gerard, I think this is where the confusion arose with regards to the DAT file and the TXT file. So there's no difference in essence between these two. I can, just an example, go and save as, I can save it as a TXT file, or I can save it as a DIT or DAT file. It's just the extension. The format the format is important. However, you can't go and try and push a binary file into the editor or into Caddie when you're importing that data. And does that make sense, Gerard? Does it make sense? Do you want to maybe elaborate more on that, or are you happy with that?
Yes, remember, Vic, and we can also do an Excel file. You can also get the coordinates in from an Excel file.
Obviously, yes, thank you. Yeah, so when you go and import, you can also import an Excel file. If you look at the file types, there they all are. I'm just going to bring it into the center of the screen. If I drop the file types, there, the DAT files and the XLS files. Just thinking top of my head, you can also, obviously sometimes you get a CSV file, which is just a type of an Excel file that you can import into Excel or export from Excel as a CSV. You can either just save it as a normal Excel file. If you get a CSV file, get it into Excel, save it as an XLS file, and you can use it as an Excel file. And that's also very powerful. You are limited with the amount of tools. If you look at the normal Notepad editor in Windows, you are limited to the tools that you can use here. Whereas with an Excel, I mean, you can insert columns and you can play around with it. Right, I'm going to step on to the next question there. It is possible to work off Cape feet. Now, if you look into your model space, there is no base unit for Cape feet. It's just normal feet in inches. So in the older days, what you used to do is to set it into feet and work it and then just rescale it afterwards to the Cape feet with the difference in the ratio or the scaling difference. The short answer of this is leave it in millimeters as it is and just convert your feet in inches. You can either work convert your inches to feet or convert your feet to inches. Forget about the Cape feet, and just as long as you don't mix Cape feet and normal English feet in inches. Just work with your Cape feet, convert it to either inches or 2 feet and just carry on drawing. Even this is millimeters, that is fine. Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you why. If I open up Chrome here, you can Google what's the Cape feet to millimeters, and there is the factor. So you will draw it with Cape feet with a unit set to millimeters, and you'll just scale it then with this factor.
Yeah, just make sure that it's in decimals, okay?
Yes, very important. So it must be converted to decimals. And then you just draw it normal, ignore the fact that your Caddie is here set to millimeters. When you're finished, you can just scale it with that factor. If you don't know what it is, just Google quickly and there's your scaling factor. Happy with that one, Gerard?
That's fine. Okay,
good. Let's go to the next one. Can you please explain annotative text? I'm going to open my normal template, and I'm sure most of the guys are familiar with this. So I'm going to put in, let's put in a section, and I'm going to add an internal wall and keep horizontal and stick it down there. Here we've got 2 sections. Let's just make it something workable. I always like to throw something in to get the guys thinking what has happened and like to show them new things. Okay, so there we've trimmed all 3 lines together at the same time, and here is my drawing. Now I'm going to place this on my sheet. I've got an A4 title block here. And Gerard, again, if I start talking, you don't see it, please stop me. Then there's this problem with the link.
You can still see it. It's fine.
Go to view. So I'm just going to create the same viewport again. Stick it on this sheet. 100. Sorry. I'm going to switch this on. This is how simple it is. You'll see now. So I'm going to go again back to model space. I'm going to have to redo it again. Click on it, new sheet, and we want it 1 in 20. Okay. Now you look at the difference in sizes. Okay. So when I place this text, if I go to parameter set, you'll see I've got okay, we can set that to 1 in 100, and it's supposed to be 3.2. That's what it would look like. So if I enter text, that's what I will get. So if with nothing selected, looking at the annotation scale, it's 1 in 100. That's what I'm going to look at, what I want to see. If I change that scale, nothing happens. If I set it now to 1 in 20, nothing happens. You can see nothing happens. I'm going to set it back to 100. 1 to 100. Click on my text. If you look at the annotative option here in the object properties, it says annotative is set to no. I'm going to set that to yes. Because my annotation scale in the model space was set to 1 in 100, when I click on it, it will default and add the 1 to 100. And let's click on that, and I want to add the 1 in 20. Because I'm going to use both of these scales on my sheet in those 2 viewports. So update it and just unselect it. If I go now to my sheet, can you see the difference here, Gerard?
Yep.
Okay. That actually gives you the opportunity now to even refine this even further and put it down there. So you can see now that the foundation in both these cases are identical size. Although if I click on this viewport, you'll see this viewport scale is 1 in 20. If I unselect it and I select that viewport, this one is 1 in 100. Okay, so that's what we basically want to do. But the annotative has actually got some more features and intelligence to it. If I go back and I click on it, I just got. I'm gonna try and move the cursor slower here. Can you see the double? I don't know how legible the purple is.
Yes, you can see that, this larger and the smaller text.
Okay, so you can see the smaller one here and the larger one on the outside. So there's nothing wrong with your vision. There's nothing wrong with our Zoom meeting. The reason why we're seeing two is, if I unselect it again, or I'm going to keep it selected, it's because we've got two different scales for that text. If I had 3 or 4, you would see 3 or 4 representations. If I now select my annotation scale in the model space and set it to 1 in 20, that's what it's going to look like. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's some intelligence. That means I can pick up that note point or the origin or the grip point of the text, and I can move the position. So not only will it handle the size, the difference in size for me, or the scale difference, but it will also maintain and manage the position. So if I switch this back now to 1 in 100, that's what we've got. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit more and do the same thing. So I'm going to go back to 1 in 20. That's what it's going to look like. The DPC text does not change because I've not switched the annotative finishes on yet. If I switch it back to 1 in 100, that's what's going to look like. So if I switch back to my sheet, see what happens. If I look now, the text on the 1 in 20 is sitting within the foundation and the 1 in 100 is below the foundation. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to repeat that for the DPC. I'm going to just repeat the whole process. I'm click on DPC. I'm going to switch the annotative on, because if I unselect it, my annotation scale was set to 100. It by default adds the 1 in 100, obviously. So now I can add the 1 in 20. Obviously, you can add multiples. I'm just using 2 as an example, but you can use more than just 2. I update that, unselect it. Let's see what it looks like, what it is going to look like. Let's switch it to 1 in 20, and that's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to click on the DPC text. You'll see the 2 representations. If I zoom in nicely, you'll see the 2 representations, and I click the grip point or the note point, and I place it in that area there. It's unselect, and that's what the 1 in 20 will look like. If I click now on the 1 in 100, that's what it's going to look like there. Switching back onto my sheet, on the viewport, you can see the difference between the DPC there and the DPC there. And if we're going to make it a bit radical, let's change the DPC, put it maybe on the let's leave that one there. Let's switch the 1 in 20 and set that one maybe to the inside. Again, you don't have to switch back to 100 to view back. I'm just doing it so that you can see what we had, and this is what we've got now.
That's very nice. So Caddie handles both for you automatically.
That's it. I'm going to step on to the next one. How do you load allow coordinates to get an image into Caddie? On yesterday's webinar, I basically did the side diagram, and I didn't have allow coordinates. I only had X and Y coordinates, yes, which you can convert and get the coordinates, obviously. I'm going to open up our friend Google Earth. And if it becomes sluggish, Nagara, just let me know, please.
That's still fine at the moment.
I'm going to zoom into an area here. There's the Caddie office. Is it updated, Gerard?
Yep, it's updated online.
Right, and there's a way that I don't know this so well. There we go. Yeah, I've got the, basically what I'm doing is I'm going to simulate loading an aerial image into Caddie. And for that, I just need a coordinate. So, but in essence, all you need to do is you need the coordinate that you want to import. In this case, I'm just using an example as our Caddie office. And all I did is there's the Latin long coordinates. And what you can do is I can just Control C, and I'm just pasting it here on my notepad, which is now my other screen. So I want to kill the Google Earth instance. So I'm going to kill that for the moment. Our blank drawing, just to retouch on that, if I go and set up my model space workspace setup, my units are in meters, that's important. I've got my 2D, 3D setting there. It's set to relative. Now we're going to go and import that coordinate. We're going to import GPS coordinates. So it comes up with a blank interface or blank dialog box that I now can decide what I want to do. So you can either input, output. Obviously, I'm going to input first. I've got GPS coordinates. I'm going to convert from GPS to grid. The coordinates system or the configuration I've got is Google Earth.
Correct.
I'm going to add a point, and I'll bring my notepad in here. Just going to delete that for the moment so you don't get confused. Here's my lat and long. Control C, click it in there, Control V. Control C to copy and Control V into the long. And I'm going to click on add. Cancel. So there's the coordinates. If you look at the northings and eastings, if I'm correct, Gerard, I think that's already now converted onto your grid.
Yes, if you had the correct arrow system at the bottom, that's really important.
I'm going to click on output. If you had multiple points, then I could say connect the points, and it will do something similar that I did yesterday, where it will connect all those points for us. I've only got one point, so it's pointless to select connect points. So I'm going to just click on plot point. It looks like nothing has happened. If I click on close, you'll see the screen position changes, and I see the point. Can you see the point in the middle of my screen, Gerard?
You can do it.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
So I'm going to start to zoom out just to show you, also in lieu of what I said yesterday. When I place that, the 0 point is the equator. So if I now go and hit MSAT, I want to insert a world template, click on yes. In the command line, Caddie asks to indicate to the zoom area and just click. So I'm going to zoom into that area and click. Now, bear in mind I've got a zoom open and I've got a couple of stuff open. It might take some time, but you can see how it loads images.
Oh, great.
Okay, so I'm going to zoom closer, and I'm going to MSAT, just update it again. Every time you zoom or change the zoom, you just hit the MSAT, and it will load that images for you. Caddie is also intelligent. What it will do is it will cache it for you. So if you get to the exact same zoom factor, it will just load it from your machine. Gerard, can you see the grid sitting here?
Yes, looks like there's lines on the edge of the tiles.
Okay. So these are tiles, as you rightfully said, and those are just borders. So all you have to do, very simple, go to configure, current drawing settings, and I click on pictures. I open up the show boundary and I double click on above picture and I say switch it off, say no, click OK, and it is gone. So that is how simple it is to bring in. You just need to have the correct coordinate and you are there. Those are the questions that we received that I think we've got time for.
There's one there that's on the chat, Vic, from Krishna.
Okay, is it better to always enter all text and dimensions in model space, or are there specific circumstances when you would enter them on the sheet? It depends. I want to see what that drawing looks like, but preferably not on the sheet. Because if you add them on the sheet, it'll be for a specific reason. Maybe you're putting a scale down that it's part of your title block and not part of the drawing, as a legend or something. Gerard, want to put some input there?
Well, what I would suggest is you can put the text on the sheet, but that's mainly descriptions and things like that. Don't do anything that should be part of your model, like your dimensions and stuff on the sheet. Yes. Across the viewport. It's just going to be a nightmare to control.
Yes. So, Krishna, I hope that answers your question. Try and get it all into, and I think the reason why a lot of people try to do the dimensions on the sheet is because they don't understand the annotative finishes. Exactly what I've done now with the text, you can apply that to the dimensions. So that saves a tremendous lot of work and time of manipulating housework on your drawing to get it in a working drawing format, is to use the annotative. So it takes a bit of time in the beginning to set it up, and it's more of a mind thing than a physical thing. To set up very quickly or very quick. I mean, if you go and you enter text. Sorry, if I just hit text here and then go parameter set, you can switch it on. Where is it? Annotative. You can switch it on there by default. So from this point forward, you add text, it will have automatically your annotative finishes for you. There is one question, Gerard, that I got now via email, and that is, how do you increase the size of the text globally on a drawing without them changing the origin point? So I'm going to try something here again. This is ad hoc, and this is the drawing that we used yesterday. So I've got a bit of text, as you can see. I'm going to go a little bit closer and let's copy this text. I'm just going to copy to the one side. click on that text. The annotative is off, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to increase, I'm just going to double the size. Is that, you can see there, Gerard, is it?
Yeah, see that's twice the size.
The function called clone. You can find clone if you follow my cursor. Quick select, there is clone from the object properties, but you can also find clone if you right click on your context sensitive menu. If I click on clone and I click on the object that I want to pick up parameters, I can say or select, I'm just going to draw your attention here to the bottom. I can select which parameter do I want to clone or carry over onto another object. And one thing that I must highlight, you do not have to clone text onto text. You can pick up, for instance, layer parameters from a line and apply that to text or hatching or combination thereof. That is very powerful. The second thing that I want to just draw your attention to is the selection section here, top left-hand side. I can obviously apply this to the whole scope. Scope meaning is whatever is beside your screen. It's not only what you see at that point in time. So if I go to clone again, and I'm going to pick up that parameter there, I'm going to indicate by rectangle. You're going to see how powerful this is. And I only want to change the height. You can obviously change things like line styles, pen colors, line style, layers, etc. I'm just going to do, the question was, how do I change the size, the height? So I'm going to go for height, click on OK. In the bottom, in the command line, Caddie asks to indicate the first corner for the rectangle. So let's say I do not want to do everything in the drawing. I only want to do this section here. Now I'm going to zoom a little bit closer and you're ready. I'm going to click on it now. Yeah, I'm going to undo it. Let's click on clone again. Click on that text. Select the parameters and see we're going to run out of time. Let's leave it there for the moment. Again, only that area there, and it's changed. And you can see it remains around the same origin point. Gerard, is there another question?
There's one there as well. I think it's can do it exactly the same way. Is there a way to change scale of all the multi-leaders in the drawing?
Exactly the same. Oh no, exactly. You can do the same. All the finishes work the same way, that you can scale it that way. I want to challenge you, try that. If you do have a problem, I think it's this drawing that's got my details. There we go. I do want to challenge you, Arno, please try that. And if you do get stuck, you can just pop me an email and I'll gladly assist you again on that.
So thank you again. It's great. If anybody has got some extra questions, just email us and we can handle that for you.
I want to thank you guys, everyone that has joined us on the webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, and please stay safe, please stay positive, stay home, and we'll see you soon in the virtual boardroom. Happy drawing.
Thank you, everyone.